my first meeting, my beauty consultant said, I think you would be good at this, and I told her I'm not at all interested, and she said, well, you have got the cutest face. I'll never forget her saying that. And she said, and I was 25, and she said, I would like for you to come and be my face model at my meeting, and it's just real low key, and you'll love it, and I'd be honored to have you, and you can get an item at 40% off just for coming. And so since we were broke and I was hooked on the skincare, I thought I'll come for that item because I'll do anything to save money. So be sure that you're working smart and bringing guests to the meeting, and you can give them a discount for coming. The meeting was designed, you guys, to invite people who've already had a makeover, by the way. It doesn't matter if you guys haven't, but that's the actual Mary Kay way. It's a layer, because once she has experienced the makeover, she comes in here and now she's looking at what's the training, what's church like, what's the business like. And so we do makeovers here some, but we don't do them a lot like some units do, because you're supposed to be trained here so that you can go out Wednesday through the rest of the week and apply what you learned. So that's why we don't do that a lot. You may hear that some teams don't, because I was Mary Kay trained. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't all love it when we have to be in here and match 50 foundations. Wasn't that a fun night? So we're gonna keep that kind of how we do it, but that's why we do it. So I came and I listened and I looked at the presentation. This is my old, I'm not a big saver, but I happen to have this binder. And I came from corporate America, and I was a human resources manager, and my corporation paid for me to have this monogrammed thing, which was a big deal back then in 1990. And I had little memos. This was the company I worked for. It says, from the desk of Audrey McDowell, worked at Chambers Development Company, which was a solid waste services firm, which means we built landfills, and they had trash trucks, and they had a lot of engineers. And I got my job at the company because they told me they weren't hiring, and I kept coming back, and I said, I'll be the hardest worker you've ever hired if you would just give me a job, please. I would like to work here. It was a Fortune 500 company, and it was big. It was in Atlanta, and I knew it would get my foot in the door, and they finally said, you can start here with your college degree, but you're gonna be a secretary for our 5 execs. I said, no problem, I can type really fast, I'll do it. And that's where I came from. So I worked there for several years, and then Todd moved here, my husband, to start working for another chiropractor because he had just graduated school. I was making $28,000 a year in corporate America. I started out at $18,000, so that was a big increment of raise back then. But in Lynchburg in 1993, there were not big companies like there are now, and there were not a lot of jobs. There was no Target. I know I sound crazy right now, but there really were not a lot of big companies. And so I began to work for a company called Kelly Temporary Services. Y'all know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
It means that you go and they hire you out to work for other companies for a temporary period of time. So you'll be 2 weeks here, 4 weeks here, 6 weeks here, whatever. And so in doing that, I was making $8 an hour as a secretary, which means I made about $180 a week or $170 a week after taxes. It might have been less than that. Todd did not have very many patients because he looks young now, but he looked really young back then. And back in that day, chiropractic was for quacks, and people didn't go to him so much. It wasn't so health conscious and vitamin stores, and we were starving, y'all. We brought a calculator to the grocery store, and my high budget was $40 a week, and my low budget was $30. That might sound crazy to you, but 25 years ago, if you ate beans and Spam and ramen noodles and no meat and no chips and no fancy snacks and cooked your oatmeal and drank water and hot tea, you could eat on that. And I would go through the store with my calculator, which didn't look like this. This was Megan and Chris's calculator. Because we didn't have calculators on our phones, because after all, we didn't have cell phones. And so I would add up, and I can remember I wanted meat. I'm a runner, I wanted protein, and I put it back. I got my pinto beans, canned or dry. I wanted chips. I like chips. You like chips? They're $5 a bag. Back then they were $3. When you got $30, you don't spend 10% on chips. So I put the chips back, and I would put stuff back, and I would hide my calculator in the thing like this because I had pride, and I didn't want somebody to know that I couldn't shop because I grew up upper middle class. My dad was an airline pilot for Delta. 4 kids. We And so I would go and I would check out. And I was at church, and they had just started having things called small groups. And there was a girl in my small group, and I'm actually an introvert, to be honest with you. I'm just a well-functioning one. And I wouldn't tell anybody my stuff. And I got to know this girl named Patty, and she was real nice to me. I could tell she cared about me. And she said, Audrey, what's wrong? I can tell something's wrong with you. And I said, well, Patty, I can't tell you right now. I'll tell you later, because there were people around. She goes, okay. And she pulled me aside. She said, it's later. What's going on? And I said, Todd and I are broke, and we are barely making it. And I hate my job. I used to have a really good job, and he just got out of school, and he's not making any money. And I'm in this little town. I came from Atlanta, and we're just so stressed out. I've got to find another job. And she said, I said, you want to clean houses together? I said, we're a hard worker. I bet we could find some of these rich women. We could clean their houses. And she goes, no, but I've got a great job for you. I just started one. I go, good, what is it? We can do it together. She said, I sell Mary Kay. So, of course, you don't want to say I sell Mary Kay. And I said, oh, no. I said, no, I don't sell things. I don't want to be that girl. I said, I'm completely not interested in that home business stuff. She's like, okay. A couple weeks later, she invites me to that meeting that I went to. And they were up at the front, and they were sharing how we make money. And it was Dawn Dunn and my director at the time, whose name was Carmen Friddle. And so the queen came up, and at that time, if you sold 300, it was like 600 today. And she was the queen, and then the director said, well, how much profit did you make? And she said, well, 50%. And so I thought, that girl made $150. And they said, well, how many appointments did you hold, Susie? And she said 3. Because back then, $75 to $100, you know, was the beginning of an appointment. It was a decent one. And I was like, oh my goodness, she worked 4 or 5 hours. I'm working all day long for 8 times 8 is 64. And she made that. I thought that would change my life. And then they had the Queen of Reorders come up, and then and I saw all these different people, and I came, and I'm sorry I forgot to bring it. I'm a runner. I ran since I was little. I ran track in high school and stuff competitively. And anyway, I wore a jogging suit to the meeting. And then this is 1990. So you ever see those suits have them triangles and that gold thread? It's like lots of patch colors. That was cool. I mean, it was cool back then. Yeah, I know. It was bright royal blue, and it had like 8 colors up here. I mean, it was just eking 80s. I mean, I had my pony, and I had acne, bad acne. I had on mascara and clear lip gloss. Didn't wear makeup. Used Clinique skincare, but no offense against Clinique if y'all are filming this, but it wasn't working for me. And I came in. You always want to tell your guests how to dress. They didn't tell me all these ladies were going to be in a skirt. And I sat in the back, and I owned business suits. I was a businesswoman. I was like, oh my gosh. I sat in the back. My running shoes had red Georgia clay on them because I'm from Georgia, and I'd run through the cross country and all. And I was sitting in the back like, oh, they were clapping. They were excited. And back then, they would sing, I've got that Mary Kay enthusiasm down in my heart. Have you ever seen this? They sang it. And if you were not, I'm so glad I got a witness in here. And if you were not excited when you were up front, Dawn would say, you're not excited enough, so y'all all get to sing the song until you're excited, just like the mom. I'm not kidding. And she would make grown women, down in my heart. You can Google on YouTube the old Mary Kay stuff, and you will see at seminar them singing it. And I am sitting back, came from corporate America, Fortune 500, hardcore businessmen, and me. I was hardcore about business major, all that. And I thought, these women are too dang happy, and I can't wait for the show to be over because I'm out of here. I was like, they're crazy. And then I got home, and they hand me the avenues of income, which we give to our guests, right? And they put it in my bag. They said, this is for you. So I'm not interested. And Patty said, that's okay. This is your gift. Well, if you tell a woman it's a gift and it has a bow on the top, I don't care what was in it. I'm like, thank you. So I bring the gift home, and I open up, and I look at how we make money. And I was like, there's real money to be made. So I thought, I'm going to get that consultant, Patty. I'm going to come back next week, and I'm not going to tell her in my full business suit. It was navy. I had, navy suit, And I'm like, because it's not going to be like that, because that was a show for the guests. It's all a scam. So I'm going to spring up on them and come in and see what the training's really like. You can tell I had a lot to learn. I was a very strong personality. Shocker. So I come back next week. Can you imagine if you were sitting here and your guest came in and you didn't know she was coming? Well, they did exactly what you would do. I came in the back, and they go, Audrey, you're back. And I said, yes, I'm here for training. And they're like, well, wonderful, because we're doing product knowledge tonight. I go, great. I'm like, you look very nice. I said, thank you. And they had a little seat. It was a little fewer people, but it's a little bit more serious, and they were training on all the products. And I sat there and thought, these are very impressive products. And so they tried to sign me up, and it was $95 for the starter kit. And I said, I would like to do it. And I was truthful. I said, but I don't have $95. And they said, well, okay. And so I had to save up for it, and I can't get into, for the sake of time right now, what the company I worked for had a contest for if you gave the best time management tip, and I had had professional training in that, so I won the contest, and the prize was $50. And I thought if I could win, that's half my kit, and that's how I got half the money for my kit. And so the director would call to follow up. How many of y'all have ever had your director call to follow up? You're like, would you please stop calling me? Stop, call me, see how I'm doing. Stop calling me. I don't want you to call me. So the director, Carmen, kept calling me. Hi, Audrey, this is Carmen, and I'm Patty's director, just calling to follow up like I promised. And I was like, so finally I lied to her on the phone and said, I'm not interested. But really, I was interested, but I didn't have the money. She said, let's go out for Mexican. I'd love to talk with you more. I'm like, oh, good. Okay, I thought, good, free sauce and chips, I'm hungry. I maybe go buy my lunch. So I went. There used to be a Mexican place off Langhorne Road across from the hospital. Remember, I think it's still down there. That's where we ate. And the director took out her recruiting notebook and she shared about the opportunity. And she said, and we can earn cars. And I said, yeah, but people don't usually earn those, do they? She goes, yes, they do. And I said, have you earned one? She goes, yes, it's right there outside the window. I look, I'm like, I hate these people. So I signed up. I typed my agreement. I know some of y'all don't know what a typewriter is, but I didn't think they would accept me because I didn't have any sales experience. I didn't have any confidence. I had zits. I had no money. Had a bad childhood. Had no thinking I was anything great. Needed professional counseling for all that happened in that childhood. And so I typed my agreement and I gave it to Carmen. Her eyeballs fell out. Can you imagine if somebody typed the paper agreement, handed it to you, typed what you would do? I mean, through a typewriter. And she went like this, and Carmen was real sweet. And she goes, Audrey, your agreement is typed. And I came from HR, which means we look at resumes all day and we screen people. I'm trained to hire, that's my major. And I said, I want to make sure they accept me, and I was serious. She said, we'll accept you, we accept everyone. And so I came to training and I loved it, and I told Todd, I said, I would like to be gone every Monday night for the rest of my life that I'm gonna do this, for however long I do this. And I said, because these meetings are awesome and they're helping me with my training. And he goes, okay, well honey, you can go. And I'm so excited to come each week. I went back and looked at my records, y'all, and this is not gonna inspire you, but it's my true story. Please do not listen if you're moving up fast, just know, just please. It took me 1 year to become a red jacket. That's how bad I was. I could not recruit. I did not sell well. My first appointment, I sold nothing. My second appointment, I sold a mascara, and I cried all the way home because I started with a 600 inventory. My third appointment, I sold a mascara and a concealer, and I cried harder. And I told Todd, and nobody back then, your director was not with you at your appointment. They were not with me at my interview. My director moved and went to Michigan, and Patty, my recruiter, quit. And so I'm here at these appointments. I don't know what in the world I'm doing, but I had my little kit, and I had something called Perfect Start workbooks. Remember those, Regina? And basically, that was the training manual. We would study and come to training, and then go apply what we learned, and that's how we did it. But through doing that, y'all, I learned how to do the business. I would come home and I would say, okay, you don't do it that way, you do it that way. You don't do it that way, you do it that way. And that's how the Steps to Success book that you have, that you can buy, was born. All those conversations, some came from training, but some came from me doing it and going, nope, that didn't work. And then one day, Ashley said, Audrey, who's a gift of teaching, she said, we need to write all this stuff down. You don't have anything in writing of your training. I said, you're right, let's write it. And she and I wrote it together a few years ago, not that many years ago. And she said, you are a mess. She didn't say it like Ashley would never say that. She was kind of like, where are your papers? And Ashley, she's real organized. So I'm like, I don't know, can you fluff them up? And she goes, yeah, and then we did it. So when I was in corporate America, I was 25, 6, 7, 8, right in there. And women would come to work and they'd be crying because they left their baby hanging on the leg, or they couldn't go see their baby's performance. They say, had one Kathy's kid's age, and they'd be bawling. Back then in corporate, it was company first, company second, company third. You couldn't say, Regina knows it's true. You couldn't say, well, my kid has their play at 11 and I'll get all my work done, could I please go? One of our secretaries bawling her eyes out. I told the big boss, I said, let her go, Dave. I know his name is Dave Roberts, who's my boss. I said, let her go, Dave. She'll work like a dog, make it up. No, absolutely. She's on her hours. Somebody can film her, baby. And I silently watched that as a young girl, and I thought, we wanted to have kids. And I thought, what am I going to do when I have kids if this is my career? And I knew what the pay scale was in HR, because you get to see all the pay scales from the VPs down. You get to see it as part of your job. And I thought, they don't pay them enough to be missing a sweet little child's performance. It's not worth it. And plus, they own me, and I got to be here sun up to sundown. They tell me how many days a year I can be sick, when I have to get here, when I leave, how long is lunch, and how much I'm going to make. And no matter how hard I've been working here for all these years, my pay raise is eensy, and I'm working harder to keep up with everything. I thought, what kind of future is this? How am I going to do this for a whole lifetime? Didn't know about Mary Kay yet. However, lessons in the story. I had a kind of halfway Mary Kay lady in Atlanta, and she would bring me a few things. She never told me about the company. She never invited me to the meeting. She never interviewed me. She never followed up. I would just call her for stuff sometimes, but I never knew she made 50%, so I would pad the order because I had the gift of giving, and I felt sorry for her. And I thought, because I make good money, and I thought, this poor girl comes all the way up here to the skyrise with my little pink bag. I said, give me, what else do you got? And I thought, she's got to at least make 10, 15 bucks. I didn't know she was making bank on my order, so that's just a side note. Share with the people. So, what came in my starter kit? So I got started, y'all, and so the first motivation was money, right? But in this whole bag I'm going to show you, money was the last thing I pulled out because it's the least important thing that I have now gotten out of my starter kit. Money just bought the choices for other stuff. But what I pulled out first, and I didn't mean to track myself, but I thought, oh, what did I grab first? This was the first thing I grabbed to show y'all. And this is a picture of my Offspring sales directors, Ashley and Megan and Kristen are in this picture, and our other directors who live out of state. And this is the most important thing that I have received from a career with Mary Kay for 25 years is relationships. Deep relationships, memories, times together, growing together, gaining confidence. And I could call you guys any of these women right now in front of you, and I could say, Erica, I need you to come from West Virginia. I need you to leave as soon as you can because I need you. Kim from Alabama, I need you. You're my friend, and I'm going through something, or I'm going through a thing. I need. She said I'd get in the car as soon as I can. I'll drive through the night. And I'm not going to go through them all, but they all would. And so it's those friendships that this can't buy. And then the next thing that I pulled, so my kids don't feel too bad, was my Mother's Day cards that I just got. And I'm not going to read them all, but they all are written. This one, of course, is for Megan, my glamour girl. But they're all written with notes to me. And here's Michael's. He is a senior in college, from your son, and he picked it himself. I was proud of him. Thank you so very much for the love and care that you've always shown me. I picked this card because now more than ever in my life, I'm starting to see all the things you've done for me over the years, even when I didn't say thank you. I just want you to know I'm beyond grateful and so thankful and proud I can call you my mama. I love you 100 feet by 99.20. Love your son, Michael Aaron. That's just something silly. He used to say when he was little, 100 feet by 99.20. And then sweet Kristen, who winner on the card this year. Look at it. So since y'all are in here, I won't read your private messages. But what happened is I got to be with the kids at all the field trips, and I got to pick them up at 3 o'clock, and I got to go be there when they were sick. But I also, excuse me, if you're a mom, raise your hand. I also got to leave them. Yep. Bye-bye, Mommy has a party. Have fun with Miss Susie, the college student who has lots of energy, who's 20, who still thinks you're cute. It's 5 o'clock, you're not cute anymore. Ah! I mean, Lord. And I got to get all dressed up and go make $200-300 or whatever and be like, 3 hours for me, and then come back to the kids. Because our children were born 18 months apart, Michael, and then I got pregnant just naturally with twins. I know it's personal and stuff like that, but so I had 3 children under the age of 18 months and under. Can you imagine? It wasn't that fun, I was crying. This is another thing that came from the starter kit. These are a pair of Megan's running shoes. Well, good shoes and good mattresses are good for kids. If you were poor, you might not have grown up with good shoes, braces, or mattresses. You couldn't help it. Those are real expensive things, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. But I was able to buy Megan good running shoes and be at her track meets.
So we're so down, like 8 pairs still.
When we did Million, we got a $5,000 bonus and we brought the kids to Disney. So if you choose to be a director with Mary Kay, you get bonuses. But let's say that you don't want to be a director and you say, I'm Kristen and I can save. You could save $2,000-3,000 and go on vacation. One thing you don't do when you don't have any money, the last thing you do usually is go on vacation because it's so expensive and you can't afford to do it. Well, what if you got a dream in your heart tonight and you said, I am done with not going on vacation? And even if all I do is drive to Myrtle Beach, I'm going to save up $800 or whatever it is, and we are going to go on vacation because I'm done with this. And I'm going to bring my children and I'm going to go and I'm going to do something with my life. Even if it is, I'm going to hike the peak, something cheap, go camping, but I'm going somewhere somehow. I'm doing it on Mary Kay money. That will make you make a booking call and walk up to somebody. It's your purpose that makes you perform. It's not paying a light bill. Paying a light bill will not make an American perform. It's a first world problem. We don't want money that bad. But experiences and missing out and wanting to get our kid the running shoes or the track shoes or stuff that makes us laugh and cry, that will make us work. And that made me work. This is a picture of our children that I got, and so we were able to, we chose to send our kids to Christian school, and I've got absolutely nothing against public school or homeschool or any kind of school, but we just visited the schools around, and we said, you know what, we think we'd like to send them to Christian school, but it was real expensive, and it was 3 kids, and they were all at once, so Todd and I took the bill, and we split it in half, and he paid half, and I paid half, and man, that took a lot of lipsticks. They went there, and it was great. This is almost the end of it. This is a straw, and your arteries, your healthy arteries, are about the circumference of this straw or more, okay? And so I went through something called coronary artery disease. I went through 2 different bouts of heart problems. One was when the twins were born. I almost died for real, and I was in ICU, and I got a blood transfusion. I was on a respirator and all this stuff. Because they were real big, and my body didn't handle it. Kristen weighed 5'14", Megan weighed 7'3", and I went 38 weeks, which is to term with twins. And then I went through all that, and Karen Pura was our national, and she's retired now, and I was real worried about losing my unit. Unit is Mary Kay lingo for the name of your team, and I'm a performer, and I was like, man, I can't keep up my business. I'm sick, and I'm on all these heart meds, and I've got these 3 kids, and I called Karen. I said, I think I'm going to have to resign. I said, because I can't do my job right, can't hold my meeting, I can't, or the whole, and she said, oh, no. She said, we're going to take care of your unit, and they organized it, and all the team brought us meals. I still don't like lasagna that much, because you get all lasagna, but anyway, but they brought us, that's just a silly joke, but they brought us meals for about 3 months, and there was enough Mary Kay ladies to do it. And when I was sick and in the hospital, my nurse, who's still my customer today, Nurse Barbara in Bedford, except now I give her all a product, she said, Audrey, she said, who are you? I said, what do you mean, Nurse Barbara? She said, well, while you're in here sleeping, she said, there's all these women, and they're real pretty, they have on a lot of makeup, and they come in here and they pray over you and stuff, and they left all this stuff today, and she said, a lot of them come, because I was out of it. And I said, well, those are, she said, you with a big church? I said, well, yeah, but that's not my Bible study ladies, that's my Mary Kay ladies. And y'all, that's why that picture's the first thing I pulled, is the relationships. They came and prayed over me. So a few years after that, I was running with my dad, and I couldn't finish the run. I was weak, and I was like, Dad, I can't go. He's like, come on, Audrey, he's a Marine. He's like, come on, deal with it. I said, I can't go. And two of my arteries were the circumference of the inside of a pencil instead of this. And I had coronary artery disease in part of my arteries. And so, long story I gotta make this way shorter. So I go in and they find it. And so what I want y'all to know is that you can go through a lot of tough times in Mary Kay and still have your business and still have your friends and still have the encouragement. So when you have a crisis and you decide, I think I'll quit my Mary Kay business. I think it was a hard day today. I think I'm leaving. No. I know you expect me to say this because my car is pink, but you gotta believe me, I've been in this as half as long as I am old. I'm 51 in a couple months, and I started at 25. Then you have two crises, because then you're not so close to Brandy anymore because you didn't get to go to seminar with her and love on her, and after all, she's got her friend. You're not doing life with her as much. You don't come in here because you quit. So you're not being clapped for and doing this. You didn't go do a facial and make $100 and make $50 and get away from women because you quit. And you also get to know, I quit. I'm a quitter. I quit. You have the right to quit. You're an entrepreneur, but I didn't quit. And I'm glad I didn't quit, because if I had quit, I wouldn't be standing in the room right now. Somebody else would. And God will use somebody else. He doesn't need me, but He wants to use us, you guys. And so I got through that hard stuff, and that was really, really hard. But the nice thing about Mary Kay Flexibility is that it is true, is that I didn't have quotas, and Karen Bureau did say, we'll take care of your unit. She said the other directors will mentor and coach your people. They know you love them. And when people know you love them and you care about them, they'll go to the wall for you, and they usually won't leave you. Your home team will stay. And so that's what happened. My girls were like, oh no, Audrey, we're gonna work harder. You're our director. And we remember the times you did this and that and this and this and this. And Dana's been with me a while, and she could tell you some memories we have and why she came back. And we don't talk that much at the meeting. Y'all know about me and Dana, but we're real tight. We've got a real deep relationship. And so that's what it's all about, you guys. It's all about relationships. And you maybe one day you want to be home and be with your babies. And maybe you just want to provide something more for the babies that you couldn't get. Maybe it's just a $50 pair of running shoes. Or maybe it's just that you want to bring them to Chick-fil-A. That's expensive. When you came from no money, you guys, and you go to Chick-fil-A and you bring your family, it's $50, you still value and realize what $50 means. Because you didn't have $50, and it's a privilege to eat out and eat fast food. And so no matter where you came from, and maybe you came from affluence, I don't know what everybody's story is in here, but if you did, then that allows you to be generous to other people who need it and have love and mercy. And if you came from a tough place like I did, you can have understanding when somebody's got to grow because they don't realize what a beautiful, wonderful little girl they are, because nobody told them. Maybe nobody told them, you're pretty, you're cute, you're special, I love you, I care. You can always call Mama and Daddy. Maybe they don't know. And maybe it's that person that's going to be sitting at your facial where the cats and dogs are kids and running. You ever had those parties? We all do. We're in Mary Kay. You're like, this party? Go. That's only 2 hours because I got to go. But guess what? That's the beauty of it too. A Mary Kay day is not 8 hours. You're with a lady a few hours. It's good or bad or in between, and you're out. Right? You get to keep hanging with her, or you're like, ooh, you can stay a customer. Ooh, I love you to pieces. I'm going to preach you right now. So you got to have that perspective, y'all. But I just want you to know, in closing, that this has changed my life. There's been good days and bad days, but the good outweighs the bad. And I just want to ask you, if you just started your business, not to quit for 1 year. I want you to put your line in the sand and you say, I started in May, and that means I don't quit until May 2020, because the number one mistake that I see people make is that they quit too quickly, or they quit when they're down. It's not a good time to make decisions when it's that time of the month or you're down. It's just not. You're emotional. It's better to carry through. Do everything that you can to get to career conference, seminar, and this meeting. And that's the last thing I'm gonna say, because I forgot. Start America came February, seminar was in July. My director, Carmen, you gotta go to seminar, you gotta go to seminar. Audrey, you gotta go to seminar, you have to be there, you're a leader, I was like, would you please stop it? I wasn't. And finally, Todd, who has a lot of sense, said, hey Audrey, so I think y'all listen to that Carmen lady. I said, why? I said, I'm not going to her seminar, I've been to all kind of corporate seminars. He goes, no, this is gonna be different. And he said, she's where we wanna be, and I think you probably ought to listen to her advice. And he said, she's got the money, we don't. He goes, go for 3 days. If it's crazy, he said, you don't ever have to go back, we'll send your stuff back. I said, good plan. And so I started selling and working to get the seminar. Let me tell you what, y'all. You are tough, tough, tough. You know why you're tough, tough, tough? We have a precious baby named Leo in the back. God gave us all as women the ability to give birth. Is it a little bit hard to give birth, Kathy, or is it right easy?
That's pretty. It's not easy.
What do you think, Melissa? Is it just a real fun day?
I had really easy deliveries.
Oh,
Sorry. Got that ride him, pull that thing out, we're gonna lose you the next day. I was not that girl, I'm still twins. Okay. But the bottom line is, on the tough, tough, tough is, we're strong, we're women. This is not women's lib, what I'm saying. If money is stopping you from something, you call that director up and say, I think you're crazy, but I think I probably believe you. I don't have the money, and that's why I can't go, but I can work. How can we do this? When you have made a decision, have you ever noticed how stuff starts happening because you made a decision? Has that ever happened to you in your life? Not Mary Kay. You've decided, I'm doing this, I'm finishing this degree, nothing's gonna stop me, not even a stupid professor who can't even teach biology, and I'm going to get my degree. Or, I'm going to lose this 10 pounds, I don't care, that cookie doesn't look good anymore, and no, I'm not eating the pizza, thank you. Because I'm gonna look like this, and I've decided, thank you, you can't make me eat the pizza, goodbye, I'm gonna go home and gnaw on a carrot, thank you, because I've decided. We've all done that. Y'all, it is a decision, and tonight, I just want you to think about what you've decided and what you wanna do. And you be you, and you be good with you. And I put my blinders on, and I started working my business. And one of the best things I did, and I'm not competitive, if you are, I think it's a wonderful trait, but it demotivates me. But I would go for my goal. And I think Alicia's a little bit like this. I think we're both the same. I don't think she's competitive either. I'm not sure. I've been coaching her, and I didn't think you were. But when me and Alicia make up our mind, we're like, watch out, 'cause that's good. I'm glad you're doing that, right, Alicia? I'm glad you're doing that. I'm doing this right here, and you're not distracting me here. And you get your blinders on, y'all, and you decide what you're gonna do with this, and you say, I came to the meeting on May the 14th, and that night was a big night for me, and I decided something. And I'm gonna go after what I decided, and I want you to go after it. When you get home, I want you to write down, I am special because I like myself, because I'm excited to do this, because what follows I am will follow you. I am confident because, and y'all, if I can make it, I really will close with this, anybody can make it. The Audrey you see today is obviously not the Audrey that was back then. I sat in the back with my arms crossed, and for about a year I was in training and learning, and nobody would have picked me. I promise you. But hard work will get you somewhere, and so will perseverance, and so will a good attitude. And so I hope that this will encourage you tonight. But we love you guys. Your director loves you. You're so capable. I want to thank you for being here, and I want you to know that you are with, I know this isn't stating an opinion, one of the best direct selling companies that there is. Mary Kay has got an amazing product, an amazing marketing plan, but what we have that they can't copy, although they try, there's a lot of diversions, is our culture. The Mary Kay way, the go-give spirit, God first, family second, career third. 57 years of solid company history. That's a lot. Our culture is very powerful, and you can trust our company's ingredients. Ashley and I know, we've been to the plant lots of times, and what's in this stuff, that's why people like Melissa's going, man, I didn't think it was gonna be as good as it is, but I love it. And so it's a great product. So I just wanna thank y'all for listening, but that's what happened in my life. Now our kids are all in college, and now we are paying for college as we go, because they are all in college at the same time, but they will graduate from college debt-free. And so that is something I'm very grateful for. So I hope that this will plant a dream in your heart, whatever it is that you want to do. And I want you to know that we accept you and we love you right where you are. So let yourself grow. And thank you all so much for listening. That's my story.